Hey guys, Pandi here of Pandi's Hair Candy and More. If this is your first time stopping by my channel, welcome. If we are already chat family and we are already rocking, welcome back to the channel. You all, this is my Power Ghost Book 2, Season 1, reviews and recaps. If you didn't do so on your way coming in, please don't forget to blow dry on my like button. And if you really enjoy this commentary, please go ahead and subscribe. It is free 99. It didn't cost you anything. Alrighty, I want to thank you for taking a moment to click on this video. Let's go ahead and let's get right on in. Hey guys, Pandi here of Pandi's Hair Candy and More. If this is your first time stopping by my channel, welcome. If you are already down with Pandi's peeps, you already know what it is. Welcome back to the channel. I am hopping back on you all with my Power Ghost Book 2, Season 1, Episode 2. That was a mouthful. Review and recap. Okay? So this is Season 1, Episode 2, titled Exceeding Expectations. And as y'all can see, excuse the whip, I just took my twist down and I had to just tie up my hair so I could come on and get this review out. Today is September 13th, 2020. It is a very busy day. The Gladys Knight and Patti LaBelle versus is also going on, so I was kind of trying to poke my head in there as well. And I just finished up a live stream, so if I appear to be a bit frazzled, I do apologize in advance. But hey, I'm Pandi of Pandi's Hair Candy and More. Again, I want to thank you and welcome you to the channel. Thank you so much for taking a moment to click on the video. If you enjoyed the commentary and the recap, please blow dry on your girl's like button. I really appreciate it. It greatly helps me out with my analytics here on YouTube. All right, y'all, without further ado, let me just give you all the highlights and the recaps on tonight's episode. Okay? And I do have notes here, so if y'all wonder why I'm glancing down, your girl takes notes. Okay? Because I review multiple shows here. Now, for the most part, my channel is based on hair, both natural hair as well as wigs. I also do some product reviews and, of course, TV and movie reviews. So, again, this is Power Ghost, Book 2, Season 1, Episode 2, titled Exceeding Expectations. All right, so let's go ahead and get on into it. So, the episode begins with us seeing Tasha getting a visit from her new team of lawyers, Mr. Davis McLean, played by Method Man, and his investigator, Paula Matarazzo, that's how she said it. They're basically there trying to establish a strategy for Tasha. They're basically trying to get to the bottom of why she's named Tommy Egan and what exactly her role was in Ghost and Tommy's business. Now, they basically need clarification that she was not the queen pin that the DA and the feds are trying to paint her out to be. Now, keep in mind though, Tasha was in charge of all the financials and she was literally laundering all monies through Keisha's beauty shop. So, it's plausible that she could have been doing something more than what she's implying. So, next we see Tariq basically talking with Ezekiel about going back over to his aunt's house. Like, he's pressing the issue. He's not even giving Ezekiel an opportunity to invite him. He's doing way too much. He's asking about going back, okay? But Ezekiel's kind of slow. He ain't really picking up on the cues. So we then see Malik is in his dorm room. He's counting stacks of money, way too much money for him to be having. And then he heads off to class. It's his first day in that class that they fought so hard for him to be in. And guess what? It did not get off to a good start, because once he's in the class, he gets called on by Jabari. I think his name is Jabari Reynolds, the professor, who recognizes that Malik is just not really ready. He's ill prepared for the class. And the problem is, Tariq got too much on his plate. They got him doing all that basketball player Ezekiel's work and trying to keep up with his own. So he's actually falling behind on his own work for trying to keep him in. But I think he figures it's best to keep him in because, you know, his auntie Monet, played by Mary J. Blige, pretty much got the hookup and can pretty much, you know, help him out with his mom's situation. I think that's the way he's looking at it. So he doesn't get off to a good start, and then he ends up getting a text message from Davis McLean telling him that basically they need to hook up and talk. So they basically meet up. Davis then explains what took place at the end of Tasha's court proceedings to him. He basically tries to convince him that he needs to deliver Ghost's eulogy at the funeral planned for the next day. And he tells him that he basically needs to paint the most vicious, vile picture possible of his father's memory. So Davis is irritated also that they never informed him about their past situation and their past dealings with the feds, like the fact that they've been getting investigated by the feds. And he was like, I didn't think it mattered. Now, how you don't think it mattered when your mama's on trial for murdering your pops? Really? Anyway, Davis was irritated by that. So he's also questioning him about what motivation Saxe would have for double-crossing Tasha. And he asks Tariq, you know, do you know, like, why that is? And of course, Tariq is playing dumb, knowing all along he knows exactly why. But he's holding something over Saxe's head, and I'm not sure if I missed it. So we'll just have to keep watching to see what's really going on with that. Something from last season, I believe. So as he's leaving from meeting up with Davis, his little white homeboy, I can never remember his name, comes and approaches him about letting him get in on the action. He knows he's moving weight and he wants in. He had me leery through the screen because I'm like, you working with the popo. Why you asking me like that? So Tariq was like, there is nothing to get in on. You know, he trying to stall him out. But the boy's like, you're definitely moving something and you're not going to be able to do it by yourself. Why don't you come to this frat party with me my brother's throwing? He's an a-hole, but it's going to be girls there. So Tariq is like, no, I got some plans, because remember, he's trying to go to the Auntie Monet's house with Ezekiel. Next, we see Monet, again played by the beautiful Mary J. Blige, in bed with a Hispanic guy who appears to be the cop who showed up at her home the night of the fight. Remember when the fight broke out with her son Kane and the boy, I think his name was Rail. Anyway, he's sweating her about becoming more serious, okay? He's tired of being just a booty call and get out. Okay, because she done totally reversed the role. She's calling him over there to service her needs, and then she wants him to bounce. That's all it is, and he wants more. He wants something more serious than just casual sex. And, you know, she glances at her phone and tells him, oh, no, you got to get up out of here. Kane will be here soon. And, you know, the kids can't see you here, that type of thing, especially Kane. Like, she puts a stress on that because we all know he's a straight-up killer, and I don't think old boy wants that smoke. Okay, so she tells him also that, you know, you can't offer me the type of protection that I'm used to from my husband Lorenzo. So, I mean, what are you talking here? Like, come on, dude, let's just keep it like it is and keep it moving. Okay, and you could tell his little spirit and feelings was hurt, but it is what it is. We then see Ezekiel meeting up with the guidance counselor. I know her first name is Terry. I can't remember her last name. And he's big time flirting. It's a bit inappropriate, but you know, he's a basketball player. He feels like that's his strength, I guess. And so he's going for it. Meanwhile, Simon Stern and Tariq are meeting up and they're having coffee, and he also informs Tariq that Davis has reached out to him about expecting, you know, what he's expecting from Tariq to do at the funeral as far as the eulogy is concerned. Simon tells Tariq that that's a terrible idea and that he needs to offer up a glowing eulogy in exchange for him covering all of the funeral expenses. Simon warns him that he personally will be fine either way, but if he goes along with what Davis McLean is suggesting, it could be financially devastating to him and his family going forward. So, I'm just saying, Tariq, don't do it. Meanwhile, Davis and Miss Matarazzo, I'm gonna have a problem saying that lady's name, meet up at work. And, they're discussing Tasha's case, and they're a bit stumped because things just don't quite add up. They're trying to understand why the DA and the feds are charging so high with these RICO charges and Queenpin charges and things of that sort. Next, we see Saxe is also meeting up with Ott and John, and he's not even convinced that they can convict Tasha on the trumped up RICO charges. Next, we then see Tariq visiting Tasha, through the little glass and the phone thing. When you locked up, you all know how you gotta have your visits. And she's updating, he's basically updating her on, what's been asked of him regarding Ghost's eulogy. And she also asked him about reopening the daycare because she's trying to understand how Tariq is affording all these high-class, top-notch defense attorneys, investigators, and things of that sort. Now, back at Saxe's office, he's scrambling to find a way to please the feds and get a conviction on Tasha because, if he doesn't, they're going to start looking at him, and he is dirty, okay? He's very dirty, so he's trying to search for a conviction that will actually stick based on all these new trumped-up charges. So he gets the bright idea to invite Detective Garza to join his team as lead investigator. Only problem is Detective Garza is not here for it at all. A, because he knows Saxe is dirty AF, okay? And B, Donovan got killed as a result of Saxe's crooked ways last season, and that was his immediate supervisor. So he feels some type of way with Saxe. After all, he was fired 2 weeks prior, but he somehow got rehired and a promotion. Garza's not here for it at all, baby. So needless to say, though, even though he's reluctant to do so, he does eventually agree to join him, but only under the condition that he does everything by the book, which we know Saxe has a history. He just can't do it. He just cannot do it. That is why his brother was telling him, look, you need to come and work with me at my company because I'm pretty sure you've already blown the job that you just got promoted to do. He already knows his brother. Who knows him better? Okay. Now, back at Stanfield, we see Tariq meeting with his guidance counselor. She's sharing that the Professor Reynolds dude lets her know that he's still struggling and lagging behind in the class. And she also tries to get him to open up to her about what's going on with him regarding his family circumstances. And of course, Tariq is not here for it. That is Ghost and Tasha's son. And he's a young black man, so he's completely shut down. He is not finna share nothing with her that he feels is not none of her business, okay? He's just not finna do it. So, of course, Tariq doesn't go along with that. She comes off as having some sort of savior complex, in my opinion. And I think that she means well, but someone like Tariq is simply not gonna open up to receive that type of attention. So he then gets a text and asks to be excused, and he leaves. Now, we then see her go into Professor Reynolds' office, which is Jabari, and she's going in there basically to discuss Tariq further, and she comes up with the bright idea that since Ghost's funeral is the next day, they should hold a candlelight vigil on campus on behalf of his father. Jabari is like, absolutely not, and he tells her he's not with it. And that on some things she needs to just fall back. Like, she cannot try to project all this pity onto people because of her own personal things. But of course, she's not, listening, and she's gonna insist on doing what it is that she wants to do, even against his advice, okay? So, he tells her, though, she needs to fall back because he doesn't think Tariq will be receptive to it. And she's carrying on about him not processing his feelings. And then he asks her if she even asked Tariq about it. And they kind of get into an argument. And this is when we learn a little bit more about their past interaction and their past relationship. Apparently, Jabari wrote some type of novel, and he broadcasted their sexual exploits. She tries to steer the conversation back to Tariq And then he asks her, well, why did you get me the job? And she kind of turns her back on him and walks off. And he just walks up behind her, places his hands, on her backside. And the next thing we know, he's throwing her up on the table and it's going down. Like literally going down in the office. No doors locked, no nothing. So clearly there's some unresolved sexual tension there. Now, for the remainder part of it, I'm going to skip along, guys, because I was watching and listening, but I was also checking for the verses. So charge it to my head, not my heart, y'all. But basically what happened in a nutshell here is she then went to go and meet with a counselor of some sort. And I thought when she sat down with her over coffee to share about the fact that she had sex with him, based on the lady's responses, she apparently is some type of sex addict, which is why that better explain why it only took a touch from him to slide them panties back in the office. Okay, so the lady basically warns her, like, I really don't understand why you hooked him up with the job knowing what you guys' history is, but you absolutely cannot be alone with him anymore. And every time we turn around, she's somewhere alone with this guy. So I don't know how that's going to work out. I don't even know how that's going to play into the storyline of the show. But apparently, here we are with that. So next, we see them at the funeral. They let Tasha come out. She's in cuffs and everything. And Sax and them actually act like they was prepared to put her back in cuffs when the van rolled up. And even Tariq was like, questioning Davis McLean, like, well, why would y'all bring her here like that? And he said because it would be an opportunity for her to go stand up there and do the eulogy. It wouldn't be under oath, and she could kind of, state what she needs to state without being cross-examined. So it was like a strategy, but they failed because Saxon then prevented her from speaking, and they went and sat her down in shackles. So they ended up having that black priest who Ghost absolutely vehemently did not want to speak and say anything at their daughter's eulogy. Remember last season when the daughter got killed? It was that same man. He's in with Lorenz Tate, which I forget his name on here. He's one of the political people that Ghost was kind of in bed with on the back end. So anyway, he's actually one of the pallbearers. They have the funeral. It ends up that the priest does kind of say something short and sweet to the point. Tariq then gets up and says a few words. So he doesn't necessarily say anything bad, but he doesn't necessarily say anything good. So I think he was good as far as pleasing Davis and pleasing Simon and everybody involved. Because, it was like pins and needles. What's he going to say? So then we see Ezekiel and Tariq going to Monet's crib afterwards. And as they're sitting down having dinner, there's a knock at the door. So everybody's like, who is that? It's their uncle, some straight up Italian guy. Now, the number one red flag that popped out at me was he mentioned something about Diana filling out nicely. Now, that was inappropriate and incestuous. Like, what the hell you mean you looking at my teen daughter talking about she filled out nicely, but you the uncle? That made the little back of my little nappy hairs back here stand up, because I was like, really? Don't be, what? So anyway, that was that. But then they're like, what the hell are you doing here? How you just walk up in here from out of prison? Like, where you come from? You don't just get out of prison unless you talking. You in there talking. That's the only way. I'm just saying. You just ain't walking up out of no pen. It ain't happening like that. Trust me, it ain't happening like that. So he rolls up in there trying to be all willy-nilly and acting like it ain't no biggie and this, that, and the third. And Miss Monet tells them, Zeke, you're staying here. You've been drinking. Kane, take this boy back to school, talking about Tariq. And Andrew, the other son, was like, I'll take him. And she's like, no, you go take your uncle. I forget where she said, but you know, he was pretty much instructed to go take him somewhere, which we later see was a bar. Okay, so then Kane takes Tariq and they pull off, and he was like, step outside for a moment, I need to talk to you about something. He literally about to do something to Tariq because they are already skeptical, like, Nig, who is you? Why are, you know, we need to know who you are. So he gives him this little pep talk like, look, everything that happens in the house stays in the house. And Tariq was like, even though he seen him put his heat in his pants, he was like, look, you need to calm down and fall back. Your uncle Frank is a snitch. And he was like, caught off guard, because here he is, this straight killer, and he like Tariq, thinking Tariq some little schoolboy, not realizing he come from the game too. And he was like, well, why you say that? He was like, how he gonna just waltz up in y'all crib after being in the federal pen? I mean, come on, man. And he tells him to use your mind, think about this. And so they get in the car, he drops Tariq off. Tariq immediately is pissed when he gets dropped off at the campus because little Miss Goody Two Shoes guidance counselor done did the little candlelight visual anyway against the other guys, the other instructor, Jabari's advice. And he's pissed because there was like media there and they was putting cameras all up in his face. And then she was like, Tariq, do you want to say something about your father? And he was like, no. So then here come the little white homeboy. The little white homeboy, it was like, come on, man. He was like, you still got that party you want to go to? So they go to the party. It's at the brother's house. It ends up going down. They end up taunting Tariq when he gets there because, A, he was black, the only black. And they were kind of having a little bit of racial insensitivity. But then one of the brother's friends was like, oh, that's the St. Patrick kid. Dude, he's like famous. So then the police show up to put that party down because they were getting loud and raunchy. The ignorant brother punches one of the cops in the face. And he's like about to get arrested. And they're like, do you know who I am? And so once the cop, one of the lady cops on the scene realizes by the last name, she was like, as in the swimming pool? She realizes like their parents are huge benefactors to the college. So they immediately let them go back to their roughhousing and their party. And it was highly inappropriate. And Tariq just nod like, okay, noted. These white kids got a little bit of pull, so I do need to be in good with them. That was the look he gave. That's the look I got. Okay, peep all game, basically. Peep all game. So then, once that took place, they show Frank in the bar. Kane comes in with his gloves on. He locks the door, and the next thing we know, we see he's hit on the back of the head. And oh boy, shoots him in the head twice because he's a straight killer. Then we later see he's about to be pulling up at home, but then the cop, the same Hispanic cop, pulls up. So he kind of sits back and scopes him out watching. And she's like, what are you doing here? He brings her some flowers and some wine, and she's like, blue shelf. And then he hands her a folder and she's like, what is this? And he was like, snitch papers. She was like, this is what I'm talking about. You got blue shelf talking about the liquor. She done insulted the man's liquor. And you bringing me snitch papers on Frank. Lorenzo would have never let me be out here slipping like this. We already knew Frank was out. He done already been here. So she ends up telling him, get out of here before Kane gets back. He's on his way back any minute. Kane already sitting outside, done peeped you out, and he's wondering why you keep rolling around, sniffing around his mama. But anyway, so she kicks him out, and then, no, before she kicks him out, he was like, well, I'm sorry, I'm doing everything. I just found out. He was like, what can I do? And she was like, well, okay, there is something you could do to redeem yourself. Find out everything you need to know about Tariq St. Patrick. And I skipped. She had sent the daughter on Tariq. She basically was going to tell her daughter to go have sex with him to get information because she's trying to figure out what is his involvement. I guess she's trying to do her research on Tariq. So the girl went over there and found out that Tariq even told her, yeah, your uncle's a snitch. So when she came back and told her mom's an OG in the game. So she's already putting two and two together that Tariq is not some innocent square child. He's too knowledgeable on this street life. So she's trying to figure out who he is. But basically, the episode ended with her telling the officer, yeah, find out who he is, get me everything that you need to know about him, and then you might be able to redeem yourself. And baby, y'all, that was episode 2 of Power Ghost Book 2. You all, it was good, and I do apologize if I'm rambling and rushing. But that was it in a nutshell, y'all. Let me know down in the comments below if you saw the episode. Let me know if I left anything out. I don't think I did. And let me know what you thought about it, because I'm loving this new season and this spinoff, y'all. It is absolutely dope. I am loving it. So drop down in the comments below. I'm Pandi of Pandi's Hair Candy and More. Again, I want to thank you for clicking on the video. And if you didn't do so on your way in, definitely make sure that you blow dry on my like button. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you, and bye.